Hello, everyone, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is our special dating show on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's.
Oh, well, thank you. Happy
Yeah.
Valentine's to you too.
Yes.
Are you planning anything of
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, we've been fasting all day, so for one, I think we're gonna eat. Lindsay
Ooh.
is soaking in the bath right now, and we
Eating's
might,
tight.
if there's time, we may do some stream some Tomb Raider. Because the new Tomb Raider, essentially it's the first 3 Tomb Raider games were remastered, and those were Lindsay's favorite games from childhood, so she wants to play them. And it just so happens there's a lot of controversy around them because of
little
like
boobs.
because it's features a woman that they don't like in the way that they don't like her, I guess. So we're gonna probably stream that on the arcade channel if Lindsay's feeling up to it and it's not too late. What was that?
Is it a boob subversy?
Well, that's part of it. Yes, Lara Croft is obviously
2 parts.
The old Lara Croft is obviously like problematic and too sexualized. Even though polygons were limited back then, the triangular boob thing really bothers people. There's also apparently a lot of other issues because she's like going to like exotic places and stealing artifacts, and you know all that is very colonialist. So we'll I don't know if we're gonna get to. We're gonna try to get to that though.
It feels like
See if
they're
it
just
happens.
synonymous with not wanting to have fun.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Yes, it's about not having fun and not allowing any. Well, more than not having fun, it's like that Marge Simpson meme. Like, you know, I don't like this, so I don't think you should be able to enjoy it either. So, but
Yes,
yeah. So
personal taste as moral imperative.
yeah. People are saying, I thought they loved Lara Croft. No, they hate Lara Croft, but they like their new kind of skin-suited modern audience character that they happen to name Lara Croft that doesn't really. It's not really her. it's like somebody else.
Is this in the game, the new game that came out? That they have this particular. Is the new game? Is the new game? Because the current era type character.
Well, yeah. So they rebooted. They rebooted Tomb Raider like in I think it was like 2014. Around the same time they rebooted God of War, and they changed the character. They felt that she was too sexualized. They felt that because, you know, she had large breasts. But I mean, I don't know, were they? Because if you like, it was the polygons were very limited. Like you had to be able to show that this is a woman, and you were working with very limited tools, which means people had to be pretty creative, you know?
You know, one of the best cosplays I've seen is a woman who literally cosplayed as like,
oh yeah,
I don't know, 64-bit.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. The 32-bit Lara Croft with the triangle.
32-bit,
yeah,
with the triangle boobs.
Yeah.
That's good. That is very clever.
Yeah, but this. So I mean, we're spending too much time on this, but I'll just make a quick explanation. So Eidos, the people who created the original Tomb Raider trilogy, the first 3 Tomb Raider games, that when after Lara Croft got rebooted, they tried to like reimagine her and make her more, I don't know, less problematic, I guess, less of a sexual objectified character, less attracting the male gaze. But they couldn't change the character drastically, so instead they just made the game different. And I mean, those games are okay, but they don't feel like Tomb Raider. Like Tomb Raider was more about exploration and taking risks and all this, and it just happened to have a female protagonist, but they couldn't square that circle. So this group of fans, very, very big fans that knew how to code, they remastered the original 3 games so that they played similar in the same kind of gameplay style, whereas the newer Lara Crofts were a bit more, they played more like another game series called Uncharted that featured a male protagonist, but I digress. And they wanted to get back to formula. And Eidos, apparently, we haven't booted it up yet, but the first time you turn this game on, there is a warning that because a warning that some of the imagery, is like, I don't know, like offensive. You might find it offensive or whatever, and we're just like, okay, we're playing it. And of course, Lindsay loved those games. They're like her childhood, the old Tomb Raider games. So I got it for her for Valentine's. Hopefully we'll get to stream it today, like after this show, or maybe if not, maybe tomorrow.
Well, there you go. There's the applicability.
We're absolutely gonna take advantage of this
to have some Valentine fun with Brian and Lindsay and Tomb Raider. Like,
yes.
All we really did today is Jonathan made me waffles.
The OG Tomb Raider.
I got waffles. Valentine's waffles.
Hey, waffles are nice. We had a little bit of sushi, but still hungry. So anyway,
okay.
So today's I'm done with that, and I hope you guys are having a good Valentine's or February 14th.
Or at the very least, our stream is making your Valentine's better.
Yeah.
Tuning in and listening to us. So did you? Okay. So what I thought
I didn't set up what we're doing today. I just said hello.
I'll set it up. So what I thought, because I was more like behind the. I guess we both were. I think it's a joint effort. But okay. So what I thought I would do today is we would cover at the end as like kind of a palate cleanser, shall you say, a study that, and this is actually an ongoing study. I'm pretty sure it's like from the life surveys that the US government does, and their findings in regards to happiness and women and marriage versus singledom versus being divorced. So I thought that would be nice as a chaser, because I know today there will either be a whole bunch of stuff that will make people feel alone, in particular men, or there will be a whole bunch of triumphalist crowing about how women don't need no man. And I figure, let's counter that a bit. Let's actually say, a little preview. There is one thing that a woman can invest in that is probably going to improve her happiness more than anything. And it isn't a vibrator and a wine cellar. I'm just laying that out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's something else. It's not those two things, nor is it stocks and like kitty litter. Nope. It's something else, and we'll go through it at the end. But the other thing that we're doing, and you'll have to clue us in with this, because it was actually your selection, because I had a different selection, but then we decided we didn't want to go with total and utter rage bait. So there is this guy called Destiny.
Yes.
And things have happened to him recently, and he's had a conversation with Lauren Chen, and we thought we would look at some of the things that were said. And if you want to tell the audience more about the epic of Destiny, then there you go. Take it away, Brian.
Well, let me set this up, because I'm the one who picked this video and I thought it was interesting. So it just so happened that Lauren Chen uploaded or live streamed a discussion. I won't say it's a debate, although there was some back and forth with Destiny. And the name of her video is called Love in 2024, OnlyFans, Red Pill, Polyamory, and More with Destiny. Now, I only got about right under half an hour into this discussion, but Destiny, this is the thing, okay? I don't know if Allison's gonna like it. I think that it is important only because Destiny, for some fucking reason, is considered an authority that people should be listening to when it comes to dating and relationships. He's like the guy, like, for some reason. And Lauren Chen, I think they're kind of on opposite sides on a lot of issues, and maybe she wanted to bring on somebody who would be, a bit of a counter. So I'm not blaming her for this. I think Lauren Chen is usually okay. I've had her on the show. It was a long time ago when she was still called Romy Millennial, but I have spoken to her. But okay, first a little bit of backstory. So Destiny is a kind of, he wouldn't consider himself to be a bread tuber or a lefty YouTuber. He would consider himself to be a common sense moderate, but he's totally a bread tuber. Just he's like bread tuber light. He's not as crazy as Vosh, but pretty close. And the reason why we know is because of the way that he frames things before he discusses them. First of all, he hates the red pill. He lumps them in, and when he says the red pill, he's not just talking about the PUAs. He's not just talking about, you know, like the Fresh and Fits and the Andrew Tates. He's talking about us. So before you guys say, you know, well, you're not that. No, we're as far as they're concerned, we are in that box, and also we're in the same box as people like the guys at the Daily Wire. So all of us get lumped in together, and then he refutes all of us, and he defends the status quo, which is basically the mainstream feminist like arrangement of reality as it exists, while pretending to be like absolutely moderate, right? He is the definition of both sides, and it's super annoying because he's obviously not like a moderate, right? And in this discussion, you will see, because when Lauren Chen says she's gonna, they talk about the state of the dating market and the problems that men are having, and I think that there are some things that Lauren Chen could learn from this, but Destiny is so far removed from reality, it boggles the mind that he has no sympathy for the situation that men find themselves. So, and despite that, and here's a little bit of the story of Destiny.
Oh, okay, there we go. We're getting into,
I'm getting to like, yeah. So the thing that is really ironic about this is that he's a streamer that streams video games and occasionally talks about politics. And for some reason, he became like the guy to like ask like all kinds of social, cultural, and political questions because I don't know, because he can Google really fast. And so he was in a relationship with a woman. I don't remember her name. Doesn't really matter. He was in Sweden. She lived in Sweden, and they got married, and they got married without a prenup. I'm just trying to cut to the chase here. And they were in an open marriage. So he married a woman, open marriage with a woman, did not get a prenup, and she was sleeping with whoever. And sometimes it would be while there were men in the house. Like there would be men in the house with him. And his whole thing was that he's so tolerant and so open and so like progressive that he could just like oh yeah, like I'm not insecure, I do fine, like I'm also out here doing stuff, right? We never really see it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but this was his whole message is if you're mature, you can do an open marriage. Now frankly, I don't think that whether you can do it or not is a measure of maturity. But the reality is that most men and women are going to want to be in a monogamous relationship. That's the reality. But when you push this stuff on people, you know, or you at least pretend like everything is great, the problem is that you kind of potentially invite like drama into people's lives because you tricked them into thinking something is good when it isn't. And he was living proof of that, because the woman that he was in an open marriage with ended up leaving him for another man because the other man created an ultimatum. He said, look, I want to be with you, but it has to be just us. So a guy looking for monogamy won out against a guy that was supposedly okay with polyamory or whatever you call it, right? And not only that, but now she's trying to get a bunch of money from him. And because he didn't get a prenup, like, you know, so I'm sorry, but not exactly a guru.
Yeah, not exactly a guru of relationships. Also, you'd think that he'd have some more sympathy having experienced the real life.
You would think, right? I mean, he still basically just believes that men, I mean, they just shouldn't have anything to complain about. Like, we can get into it, but they're going to talk about what I saw was they're talking about dating. They talk about social media. They talked about feminism a little bit, and OnlyFans and things like this. So, all right. Well, let's get into this. I'm gonna have to do bananas. I don't have any time codes. I'm sorry. This just came out, and I thought it was interesting. It was either this or we go through like Hassan Piker's old PUA videos before he like found communism. So there's also that, which is also hilarious, by the way. If you've ever seen the old Hassan Piker video, they are kind of hilarious.
Men's right activists are machines, dude. Okay,
okay, let's
of Pseudo Intellectual Live. Today we have a very special guest. You know him, I'm sure, as Destiny, as Steven. He is one of the largest streamers right now, so really happy that he's taken the time to come chat with us Destiny. How you doing?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing great.
Doing good here. Actually, I'm lying. I'm being Canadian and just being friendly. I'm sick. So if my nose gets more red throughout this stream, it's because I have a box of tissues next to me. But do you prefer Steven or Destiny? Are you good with either?
Definitely Steven.
Steve.
I'm just pausing there because I don't know how he's gonna get. I did get a super chat. I'm gonna read it really quick.
We got
Go
two
ahead,
super
Allison.
chats, but I just wanted to say I'm not so sure that Lauren Chen is going to be really a stickler with the banana. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so either. Lauren Chan, please don't like strike us. You know, I thought it was good that you had this conversation, but
I feel like we can relax the standard a bit, at least for the more YouTube commentators. But I mean, it's a good idea to do the things before we continue, before we get too far into it and start to experience the great and
let's do it.
overwhelming
Yeah,
rage.
they're doing introduction. Go ahead.
Yeah, and probably, you know what, we could probably skip the introductions because we know who they are, and we've given a long introduction to Destiny, but be that as it may, let's get into the things. All right, so if you enjoy this content, please consider supporting us. I am putting on the monthly fundraiser earlier now because we've had a little bit of a contraction with our subscription income, so I wanted to make up the difference. And you know, I don't know, like maybe you guys prefer to do, but you prefer the brinksmanship, you know, playing chicken with the fundraiser as opposed to the old reliable subscriptions. So I don't know what it is. Anyway, I put it out there for you. feedthebadger.com/support. If you are able to help us out, please do. It is it's very vital for us because we don't exist. Like the reason why we're still here is because you guys keep funding us. Now, I would still probably be doing this stuff, but we certainly wouldn't be doing it almost daily. So feedthebadger.com/support to make sure we can continue to bring you this content. And Feed the Badger. I mean, could you imagine if we stopped doing it? Like half of these channels would have nothing to talk about. That sounds really arrogant, but sometimes it feels that way. You know what I mean? Because they actually allude to the things we say. Don't credit us.
I know. I honestly do believe that, and I believe that us having these conversations and people in our circles having these conversations absolutely like
makes them
finds its way out here one way or another.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
a lot of the things are suspiciously, like what Scott Adams said a few weeks ago. It's suspiciously worded, but regardless, I think it's important. I think we're the only ones who are really digging in and finding the connections that we are. I've never heard of anyone else talk about the Party of Single Women. I think the closest might be the Misandry Bubble, which is a good read. You know, find the Misandry Bubble and read it. Yeah, so if you would like to support the show and our very unique work that we do, feedthebadger.com/support. If you enjoy our giving you little sneak peek previews of what's coming up next in the human saga, feedthebadger.com/support. And also, if you want to send us a message, feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us a message, and you avoid the minefield of YouTube comment enhancement, and we get the full benefit of whatever dosh you send our way. So that's highly recommended. Feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Tell us we're not screaming into the void. Give us your words of often very esoteric wisdom that we puzzle over, and or give us a comment. Once again, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. All right, I think that's done.
Okay, so I got a
okay. Let's do the super.
Oh yeah, I got a super chow from Richard Bier. He gives us $5 and says, "Help me online community. My husband left me for a bull that I wanted to experience, and to make things even spicier, I wanted my husband to be pegged by the bull. Now they are dating each other."
I don't know. That sounds like a Valentine's happy ending to me.
Well, for some people, yes. And then the One Good Man, right? Yeah, the One Good Man sent us $15 and $5. So I guess you got like some support and that. So here's a
I will check that.
Here's a thing for you. Just a chapel.
Literally, just maybe 100 or so years ago, 100 and such a few years ago, that women were still viewed as chattel.
As we all know, this is true. And he says, as the one good man, I know I should believe all women and minorities at all times and without question. I suggest having pink, black, and rainbow check marks so we know who the feminists and leftist approved women are and help to avoid wrong thinkers. Thank you to the one good man, which I mean, and you are the one good man. You have just demonstrated how good and one you are. All right, so now we can get into the video. I don't know how long the introductions go. I'm gonna hop a little bit ahead. I don't want to miss anything.
Oh damn, I was muted. I was gonna say extra woohoo to the one good man who demonstrated his goodness by starting a $15 subscription to...
Oh, you have joined us.
You have joined us, one good man. Come.
Oh, one good man is now a badger. We should create, I think we should create memberships in the YouTubes that give people like, I don't know. I know. It's a lot
I
of
don't
work, but-
understand. Okay, I can probably apply my brain to it, but I'm sure it'll be something that I need to do. I'll need to swaddle myself in like a comforter and have like a hot cocoa and just be
well,
like,
we can give them exclusive little like emojis.
some self-care.
Like,
No, I totally think that's a good thing. It's just that every time I interact with the YouTube interface, it's almost as bad as WordPress. So I always have to have that, you know, that little extra self-care. You know what I mean? Just so that I don't want to kill myself, but it doesn't ever work. So I still want to kill myself, but I could do it. I could put it together. I could figure that out at some point. But anyway, I want to thank you, one good man. Great job. Thanks. Thank you for the...
Really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it, especially because it's a subscription. All right.
Yeah. All right, let's play some of the video. I skipped ahead a little bit.
Sure.
I'm gonna be honest. I just woke up like 15 minutes ago. I had a late night last night.
Holiday.
Okay.
She asked him a question. I want to hear her question.
I want to open up with a question I think could be interesting. Do you think it's easier or more difficult to find love today than it was, say, 25 years ago?
Why are you asking?
All right, before he answers that, maybe we should try to answer it first.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
It is more difficult. And the reason why is because our society is, well, it's now on its third generation of embracing this notion that men oppress women, which incidentally wasn't always a widespread belief, which is, you know, that's really funny because if you go back in time when the oppression was worse, it was considered less of a thing. Of course, they would say that's consciousness raising, but I have my doubts. And but that particular attitude, at which I'm guessing that neither of these two individuals would really genuinely question, we are now in generation 3, under that the what's the right word for it? Under the yoke of that idea. And once again, I would just like to point out that it has never been proven. I mean, let's put it this way. Feminists' essential conjecture about the relationship between the sexes, because they have a conjecture about the relationship between the sexes. They 100% do, but they have never absolutely and clearly explained what their conjecture about the relationship between the sexes is, because they don't want to have to take responsibility for it. Because if they had to take responsibility, if they had to actually articulate what they believe, what their conjecture is in regards to the relationship between the sexes, then we could actually look at it as a scientific hypothesis that can be tested. So they want to play the silly buggers game of, well, that's not my feminism, and then you ask them if they believe it, and they basically hem and haw and say yes. But you know, they don't actually want to be pinned down, like I'm pinning this word down. They don't want to be pinned down to anything, because then it might be negated. And then they have to take responsibility for it. So this is supposedly a scientific look at how one of the most important aspects of human nature, which is the most important aspect of human nature.
Yeah, I think I would argue the most important.
Yeah, the relationship between the sexes, and their conjecture, they've never even really clearly stated it. They just want to dance around it, but still imply it. And honestly, it's never been subject to any kind of scientific rigor. Like, they have never said, well, how do you falsify it? Now, I can make a guess at what the feminist conjecture about the relationship between the sexes is. Men oppress women. Men oppress women. Men's authority over women oppresses women. And, well, how do you falsify that? And I've asked feminists, I'm like, okay, do you agree with that? And eventually I'll get them to say yes. And I say, well, how do you falsify it? And then they usually say, well, it cannot be falsified. I'm like, yes, it can. It can 100% be falsified. And this is how you falsify it. Your causal conjecture. So you're saying X, then Y, if male authority, then female oppression, you absolutely 100% can falsify that. This is how. You look at the situation for men and women under male authority. And if the situation is better for women than men, or even possibly just equal, and that's not it's not the exercise of male authority. So you can't put anything on the scale related to having rights without recognizing the equivalent responsibilities or any of that, because that's the X. Men in authority is the X. You can't put X on the scale to measure Y. You don't do that. You can't. No, slap. No. So you can see that. You can actually negate that by simply observing if the situation is worse for men than women, and it is. Throughout all of human history, the situation is worse for men. Men are more likely to die violently, and they're less likely to reproduce, which are the two basic privileges of a sexually reproducing, or like a mammal or an animal, is survival and reproduction. And it's always gone preferably towards women. So no, it's not a situation in which women are oppressed, because the situation is better for women. So but ultimately you don't even need to falsify it. You just have to ask, is this falsifiable? And if they say no, then it's not science. Like, can you falsify this? If it's false, is irrelevant. Can you falsify feminist conjecture? Well, first of all, they've never really stated what their conjecture is, which means it's not science. Second of all, they won't acknowledge that it's falsifiable or even contend with thinking about making it falsifiable, which means it's not science, which means it's not an observation of reality. It's a fiction. And nobody is, or a belief, and nobody's obligated to believe it. And therefore I don't. Men in authority do not oppress women. Full stop. Okay, that was a long aside.
Right. Yeah, a little bit, but that's okay. All right, let's get into this more. But okay, yeah, my answer also, yes. I'm not gonna go into it any further. I think that's enough. And what do you guys think? You think I'm not dating right now, but I can see that a lot of men are struggling. And actually, I've been talking to some people. There was that guy that you sent me the info on Twitter. He's like the Evo Psych dating site guy or whatever. Not Alex Date Psych, but another guy. And there was another guy who I've been
less
talking to.
obnoxious guy.
Clearly, what I'm saying is clearly this is becoming a bigger issue because more and more people are talking about it. So, what we've been ringing the alarm on is finally starting to reach the normies. All right, but let's get into it. So yes. So what do you guys think? Is it harder or not? Let me know in the live chat. I'll be looking at the chat. So.
I'm gonna be honest. I just woke up like 15 minutes ago. I had a late night last night. You're asking me the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
Is it though? Isn't it like when she said it, I was like, yes. Like, I mean, like, this isn't a hard question. You could wake me up in the middle of the night and ask me, and with like fucking like ear boogers, boogers in my eyes and everything from like, how you get like the crust on your eyelids.
Yes,
I'd be like, yes, now fuck off. Right. Exactly. Okay. But Destiny's like, you know that he doesn't really know how to answer a question when he says, well, that's a really complicated question. That's how you know he doesn't have an answer.
Struggling with this.
This guy's the Socrates of the internet right now. For some fucking reason. Anyway.
Really?
Well, I exaggerate, but he is for some reason a credible, like.
Well, you know what? Everybody is going to do. They're just going to do what they do until it doesn't work anymore.
I actually think that if you are a defender of the status quo, and you can sell that you're being like rational and moderate, you will be more successful than people like us that are actually saying, you know what, this is a very hard thing to look at, but you have to look at it.
Oh God,
You
yes.
know?
Anybody selling like, okay, anybody at the end of the world selling the idea that the world isn't ending, that guy is gonna make out like bank. Like, just imagine we're at the end of the world. You see the timey-wimey crack in the sky and the demon lord's tentacles going down, and this dude's destiny is like, oh, that's not really happening. You know, that's.
I don't know why you guys are exaggerating so much. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
I'm fine. My
everything's
friends are
fine.
fine. What's wrong with you? That's like
people who think that there's a giant crack in the sky with monster tentacles coming down. They just hate women, you know. And that dude saying that will have billions of followers and trillions of dollars shoveled at him. Okay? And why? Because he's telling people what they want to hear.
Yes. Exactly. All right, let's play some more of this. Let's hear his actual answer.
I would say that I'm going to give you the most way. It's like in some ways it's a lot easier, in some ways it's a lot harder. I think it's easier in that you're connected to more people today than anybody could have ever been connected to in the past, which is amazing, right? If you were like an introverted stable boy in the past, you could hop on a social media app and, you know, talk to however many girls you're able to match with. That being said, I think the standards and what people expect in relationships has dramatically grown. So it in one way it's like easier to meet people, but in other ways it's a lot harder. So like something that I talk about for men is that.
What was that?
I'm just curious what he means about standards. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying standards for people, and I'm like, well, are you talking about men? He's about to go into men, right?
Okay, all right, let's find out.
All right, let's find out,
That probably like 50, 60, 70 years ago, as long as you could like work a stable job and you weren't a total lunatic, you probably get a wife because women need to go and find men, marry them, and have a family. That was kind of like the path for everybody. But now that people have so many more paths available to them in life, it's...
He's saying 60 or 70 years ago, if you were a man, you just needed to have a stable job and like not be a lunatic. So essentially be like a normal person with a stable job and you will find a wife. And because women needed men. So where he's going with this, and we'll let him say it before we respond, is that in the past, he's not going to say this because it was too true. In the past, and the reality is that in the past, men and women were, for most of our history, they were set up with each other. So like the whole like idea of like a free and open dating market is very, very, very recent. This isn't the case like in the 1800s. You just like knew the people in your town, or you knew the people in the farm next door, and if they had a daughter, and of course if they had like a shit ton of kids, odds were, you know, you were gonna meet someone that is like a match for you, and if the families were friends and they got along well, then you would probably like, you know, it was like something that was like it was all about like your
it was more embedded in the culture, like
it was embedded in the culture, but it was just like if you in your community, you would probably meet somebody in your community. Like even when I was a kid, you know, the girls that I knew that I dated in school, they lived in my neighborhood. So it was that, and that's still pretty recent. But even before that, like, you know, if a man and a woman were fond of each other, one of the things that was expected was, you know, you would meet their parents, and they would, and your, you know, the girl or boy you were interested in would meet your parents, and then the parents would suss them out because they were involved in their life and all of that. But like, that doesn't happen anymore. And I don't think it's just the internet that's to blame. A lot of people want to blame the internet. They want to blame social media. I think it is the damage to the family that is actually to blame. I think that because there are still families today where there's a father in the home and a father and a mother, and they're both there and they're both raising the children together, and the father especially is going to want to know who his daughter is dating, and he's going to be like, you know, whatever, sussing them out, and the mom will too, and the mom will be sussing out the girls that a boy is dating. And because but because they're also there, like the mother and father, if they're good parents, they will be the model by which their children will
pursue relationships.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you take all that out and you do that damage. Like somebody's saying 60% don't have fathers. That's the point. When you have single moms, then you basically invite or broken families, but most of them will be single mother homes. You are basically inviting that gap is going to be filled, right? No pun intended. And they will find, and the schools promote it. They're okay with it. The media's okay with it. It's everywhere. It's all around us. We normalized it. And so the harm is being done. And now Destiny won't, and the standards though, like, so we take all that out where people were just kind of like set up with each other, which was basically like for thousands and thousands of years. That was the case, right? Maybe in the last 100 years, no, probably less than that. Maybe in the last 70 or 80 years, was there a thing called dating without, necessarily without oversight, or at least that wasn't a normal thing where the parents were like, well, let me meet this person you're seeing or you're interested in and find out.
The, like the Lonely Hearts column in newspapers, right? Now, how did people meet before then? They met through context.
Yeah, there were ways to do it. Yeah, or you would go to things. You go to like a community event, a dance or something like that, or you meet them in church. Like there were just a million ways. And now all of that's gone. Most of it is anyway. And people are mostly, dating online, and they're dating a lot earlier, and they're sexually active sooner, and they're treating relationships as more utilitarian or more almost, they are transactional, but maybe like in a kind of older way,
Okay,
and I think this is, go ahead.
I think, this is, so it's not necessarily just the internet, it's the general rot. And he's never going to admit that.
No, he won't. That's what I'm saying. He's going to blame the internet. He's not going to, actually what he's going to do is he's going to justify the rot by saying that women didn't have a choice before, and now they do.
Okay, let's hear that.
So let's go into it. But with men, he was saying,
I guess the value add for a relationship is it's competing with a lot of other things.
No, so you say that like women had to get married and stuff. What do you mean by that?
Before women were as educated and before women had as much a place in the workforce, you're like, if you're a woman and you're like 30, you're not married with a kid, like what are you doing with your life? Because you're not really like, they're just like the pursuit of career and the pursuit of education wasn't as common of a thing. So it seems like that was kind of like the expected path for women to go down. And if your expected path is to be like a housewife and a caretaker, well, obviously you have to pair off with a man to do that because he's going to be the one that's working. So I feel like that was like a more standard path, like a more accepted kind of, people were kind of pushed in that direction in the past.
So
did women want that? This is the big thing. Like the attitude is that, women were pushed in that direction. And yet from what I've seen of women from that time period and their own statements, that was what they wanted, right? You even have, Simon de Beauvoir saying that you cannot allow women to have that because too many women will choose that. And
you can't give women the option to be a housewife and mother because too many women would choose to do that.
So that, like, right there, he's completely removing the agency of the women in the past. Maybe most of them did that because that's what they wanted.
Well, and we're going to get into that later, right? Because that's why I think this is related to this article you shared with me.
All right, let's keep going then.
All right, let's keep going.
Opinion then with the push for marriage that we saw in the past, was that mainly driven by women?
It's like asking like which wheel of a car is the most important.
Why are you asking?
It was probably driven by women to some extent, but it was also driven by women because it's also like what men wanted, but it was also driven probably by men because it's what society needed, and then like families pushed you towards it, and then like that was the social expectation. Like
what's society?
I never say there's like one force there that was pushing in a direction.
Society.
I guess if you look at it from
I can tell you something. Bachelor men were actively discriminated against for jobs. They had things like heart bomb laws that if a woman felt like a man had given some kind of promise, he owed her financially or could end up in jail, especially if he did anything sexual with her. So yes, there was an actual legal pressure on men to marry. I don't recall any kind of legal pressure on women to marry. So if we just look at the laws,
a single, like a bachelor man working a job, or that's looking for work, is less reliable in the eyes of employers than a married man, because a married man, especially if he has children on the way, he's gonna bust ass, so that he's more likely to get the job. And at the same time, what's funny, a married woman, especially a woman that might have children or plans to have children, is more of a financial disincentive for an employer than a single woman is.
Yes, and right now single women out earn men, single men.
Yes.
But regardless of that, the real reason is because they didn't feel like giving a job to a man who wasn't supporting a woman. Right? The social role of the time was that men work to support women.
Yes.
Okay? And
it wasn't that men were just out here making money.
If you weren't a man supporting a woman, you were openly and actively discriminated against in the workplace. And guys, there's older guys who will say one of the only things that feminism did for men was to take away that huge, pervasive, legally binding, like legally not just social stigma, but legal stigma, like legal condemnation, employment condemnation of being a bachelor. Right? There was, you talk about pressure on women. Well, okay, yeah, we can talk about it, but there weren't laws. There wasn't a policy of discriminating against single women for jobs like there was for men.
Yeah.
Like the pressure on men was tremendous to marry, and it was in law. Okay, so screw off with this. All right, let's listen to
some more.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to go. I try not to be too woke before 1 o'clock. But if you're looking at it from like a patriarchal point of view or whatever, like social factors are pushing everybody in certain directions. In some ways, it's nice. In some ways, it's not nice. I guess in one sense, it's nice that people kind of had simpler paths, and therefore you don't have as much decision paralysis or, like choice fatigue, where it's like, fuck, did I make the right choice, or blah, 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 because these are things were just kind of expected for you. I think that women probably enjoyed parts of it and didn't like parts of it. I think men probably enjoyed a lot of parts of it, didn't like parts of it. Yeah.
Oh, I like how he says men enjoyed a lot of it. Like they somehow just benefited more. And also, I don't think it was like, okay, so back then, most men found women found those men, and they fell in love, and got married, and they had kids. And then the man would work at a job, or he owned a business, or he ran a farm, or his land, or whatever it was, and his wife worked at home. She worked still, but she worked at home. Maybe she had a little side thing. I know that was very common. And they were both raising their children together. This is an ideal situation, but this is what people usually aim for. So it's what they're going for. And then he is saying that, if you had more choices, then you would just become the end of your line. Like you wouldn't have children and you would just die, and that'd be the end of your legacy. No, like men want. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, he's saying that having more choices can lead to regretting the choices because you think, I could have chosen that.
Yeah.
Or having choice fatigue. So slimming down the choices can lead to greater happiness.
Yes, that's true. But like, what are the choices that people did not have that were better than what choices because he's saying that now we have all these choices. So there's a downside because it's not as easy to, like walk down that life path of like, yeah, I mean, get married, have kids, start a family.
We're saying people, but what we mean is women, because men still have the same single choice, which is to earn more than your wife. That's it.
Yes.
Like everybody's oh my God, women are liberated. But the thing is that women still want to marry a man who earns more. They literally still want to marry a man who that they can then rely on like they did in the 1950s. Period. Like that nothing has changed, and nothing has changed about the expectations for men, except now the amount men have to earn has increased. So this whole idea that anything has changed since the 1950s is absolutely absurd. A woman then still wanted a man who made more. It was just easier to find one. Now, a woman still wants a man who makes more. It's just a lot harder to find one. That's the difference. Like,
Yeah.
she's making it out like there's this huge, massive change. There hasn't been. Women haven't changed what they want.
No,
they still
haven't.
want to rely on a man who makes more. The end.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just that
All right.
they've gone from a position of plenty, where every woman could find a man who was about her attractiveness level, who made more, to a system of scarcity, where it's very difficult to find a man who makes more, because you are now making as much or more than most men. So, okay, well, that's essentially the dating situation in a nutshell. The end. Like,
Yep.
and that's the hilarious thing. They're like, oh, we've liberated women. No, you haven't. You've liberated women, really? Well, they still have the same expectations that they've always had. You certainly haven't liberated them from that. I mean, if tomorrow every man magically became Christian Grey, I don't know how the hell that would work. Every woman would quit her job and become his wife. Like, think about it. Or almost every woman would. And so nothing has changed. And that's what's
that's what I'm saying. Like, he thinks we've given people choices, but like they're just making the same choices.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, they're making the same choices.
Yeah, and they're making those same choices but that there's a lot of other factors now that make things worse for everybody involved.
Well, yeah, I mean, can you imagine,
like, women can just divorce, they can get married and then divorce a guy, so they can take his money, take his kids, because the state will step in and take care of her if she does that. So we basically we didn't add any choices, because men and women generally still want the same things. We've just given, like, I don't know, like, we've basically just like interceded into that process, like, where men are now working, like, whether you're married or not, whether you go full on MGTOW monk, you're paying taxes, which means that you are giving a woman your money. So nothing's
this way. This is the big thing that women now can choose. They can now choose to be celebrated middle management 7-Eleven, like being middle management at 7-Eleven, or being a manager of a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
You know, like the average woman can now celebrate, if she's lucky, being a middle manager, or something else, you know, like, yay, woo, like, you're not making a family, but what are you really getting at the end of the day? And here's the great joke. Men didn't do their jobs because they really, really, really enjoyed the 50-year like pocket watch or the placard. They did their jobs because that's what paid for their families.
Yeah, they did their jobs because they loved their family and their wife and their kids. Job
because they wanted to support their family. That's why they did it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing though. Like,
women are out there supporting themselves, and they don't even get the reward that men did.
Yep.
They don't even get that reward.
Yep.
Because they don't even have families at the end of the day. And that's really, actually really sort of funny. Is it really freedom to be a wage slave? Is that really freedom? You know, is that really the pinnacle of success? Oh yes, I became a middle manager at 7-Eleven. Woo, you go, girl. Like, okay, that's the big thing that you got out of life. And that was so much better than being a wife and a mother and building a home. That was so much better, was it? Okay, well, it's too bad you're so much better. We'll not care about you when you get buried. Like, you know, like this, I don't know. It just seems like you're right. Did the options really get that much better? Did anything really change that much?
No, I mean, he thinks that women are less oppressed, but still oppressed. So, all right, let's play some more.
Never, yeah.
If you want me to go in it deeper on anything, we can. But my answer is gonna be very macro level right now. Sorry.
No, that's good. Okay, so
What was his
it's not
answer?
necessarily easier or harder
Non-answer.
today. Would you, Steven, do you prefer
Fucking
being
non-answer. Okay. I'm really tired about this. Okay, is it just me, or is this man incredibly disrespectful?
Yeah, he's super sarcastic. He thinks he's smarter than every.
No, I
He's
mean,
he's the definition of a midwit.
yeah,
Like
but the way that
he is the
he's
definition of a
moving,
midwit.
his
A guy
attitude-
who's Dunning-Kruger. That's all I'll say.
Let me conclude. The way
Yeah.
he's moving, the attitude he's presenting, he feels very disrespectful to her.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else is picking up on that, but that's a strong.
Well,
sense,
yeah.
got.
I mean, yeah. I can see the body language, but that's like I've watched him in a lot of debates, and discussions, and he basically presumes that because people blow so much smoke up of his ass, he thinks that he's the smartest guy in the world, and so he just
Oh yeah, of course.
comes on and he's like, well,
smart.
clearly you don't, and of course his takes are just so like milk toast. But
Yeah,
you get used to it.
Answer her question.
No, he's not gonna. Well, he did. He just said it kind of is and it kind of isn't, and that's the end. Like I know, I just gave the most nuanced take ever. And Lauren Chen is like, well, I guess. I mean, Lauren Chen is clearly smarter than him. But she's just gotta like realize that. Look, I only got like an hour and a half. I'm not gonna. I've been there, Lauren. I get it. All right, let's. Play
Okay,
some
let's keep going.
ago, or 50 years ago, or 100 years ago?
Wait. Oh my God, you just froze for a second. I thought you were thinking of the deepest question ever. Hold on.
Oh no.
Repeat that last thing. Sorry, the thing froze
Okay,
for a
so
second.
assuming you're Steven, you're looking for love now. Are you happy to be in 2024, or would you have preferred to be in the past, 25 years ago, or maybe even 100 years ago?
I mean, I like this era now 100%. But also, if I was born,
Really?
50 years ago, maybe I
Well, yeah, because he gets to play video games. Let's play some more. We'll see what he says.
would feel
You
different.
probably wouldn't
but-
know different.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But hey,
So
maybe in the 40s I would have been a Nazi, who knows? I definitely prefer this era now. But yeah, I mean, we're products of our time, so who knows? Who's to say I would have felt 50 or 100 years ago? Yeah.
That's interesting because I feel like
all right,
what I'm hearing from my audience.
Stop this for a second, Brian. At any point in the amount that you watch, does he have a thought that's actually worth considering?
No,
Okay, why are we even listening to this man? Like,
because
so
I think
far-
that he is a popular voice, and we should hear what people are saying.
Okay, but
I got a
so
super-
far, he has not made
Well,
a point
I
or
don't-
offered an observation that is worth considering in any aspect. I'm starting to get really aggravated. I'm not at you, Brian. I'm not at you. I am aggravated at this.
Well, we should hear him out some more because the arguments he makes are very common. They're not going to be mind blowing. He's not going to blow your mind, because we are operating, I think, on the fringe here. So we're looking at. It's basically like, oh, where's the Overton window at today? Oh, here, and we're looking at that. So
Oh, good
this is
Lord.
where it is. And I mean, Lauren Chen pushes back, like, or at least she has like her own side of it, and he's further along. But I think that this is good for that. If you guys watching don't think this is content worth going through, then I'll just stop the video and we'll like go to the article or something. But
I'm just saying that so far we're like 5 minutes in, and I have not heard a thought. Like, I don't grade every thought on like a depth or a density that's really satisfying. Like, I'm not expecting him to be like, I don't know, Peircean semiotics or anything like that, which actually is just more confusing than satisfying. But regardless, I'm not expecting that from this man. But
yeah.
I keep grading him down in his insight.
Well,
and I'm now at Hallmark card. Right? This dude is a fucking Hallmark card.
bumper
And
sticker.
if I wanted to listen to I would just go to Walmart and read the Hallmark cards. All right? And I would probably feel more satisfied. In fact, I would be like, this Hallmark card is really making me think. So far, okay, you are at Hallmark card level. I just want a little substance somewhere. Okay.
Okay,
let's just
well,
keep going.
he just woke up, so maybe he wakes up a little bit later.
Maybe he's revving his engines. You know,
Yeah,
like I wake
he's-
up from the weirdest ass dreams. Like sometimes I have these dreams and it's like, wow, I think I'm even more esoteric in a dream. Do you have those feelings? Like you get these
last time
conclusions and you're
I
like,
had a
I
dream last night
understand
that
everything.
I had a dream last night that Jojo peed on my, which is weird because he never does that.
Oh. All right, I think we're on different sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. Then I had to go. So anyway, I got a super chow from Richard B. He gives us $5 and he says, "Is building the bondage dungeon a requirement, or is that only optional? Don't you realize a liberation in being a modern day harem girl?" All right, thank you for that, Richard.
Audience, for men at least, there are a lot of guys who are saying that they are very black-pilled about what the current dating situation looks like. And from what I understand, it's because, I mean, I think nowadays the power has kind of shifted in terms of relationship dynamics. A lot of people think that women are basically holding the keys, not just to sex, which traditionally they always have, but also to relationships, and that if you can't even get in the door for that first initial date, then you, as a man, your power to technically control relationship status, that doesn't even exist to begin with for a lot of men.
Well, that's a fair statement, I think, that Lauren Chen is making, right?
Let's see how he turns that into. Well, let's see
Mush.
what he turns it. I'm
It turns it into like kind of watery oatmeal. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The balance has swung really dramatically. My kind of like explanation for this, I'm gonna trigger the fuck out of your audience today. My explanation for all of this is I view there's like a basket of feminine traits and there's a basket of masculine traits. And for a long time, religious people and red pillars and everybody's kind of coped that like, oh, feminine traits are beautiful and masculine traits are good and they complement each other. But I think deep down, we all know that's fucking bullshit. All the masculine traits are really fucking cool. Having honor, having integrity, being a provider, being able to, stand up for your enemies and for your family and blah, blah. These are like really cool things that everybody wants to do. I think we kind of deluded ourselves into thinking like only men want that. Like women want to be feminine and elegant and caretakers and breastfeeders. And that's like the best thing ever. Not to say that these things are bad. I'm just saying that like in the box of masculine traits, there's like 80% of these traits are things that everybody wants. Nobody wants to be weak. Nobody wants to have to be taken care of.
I'm pausing it there just in case for
Just
the banana,
keep going.
but I'm gonna let it play. Okay, let's play the rest.
So I think as time has gone on, as women have gotten access to birth control and have gotten access to education and then careers, I think that what we've seen is women have kind of like always had this feminine side. They've done a really good job at growing their masculine side as well. And men have had their masculine side and that's it. And there hasn't really been a push for men to encompass like more intellectual feminine traits. And so you've got this era now where women have become these like Voltrons of like all these different powerful forces. And now when you're a woman and it's 2024 and you're looking into the dating field and you're like, okay, well, who should I date? Well, you don't need a guy for sex because you have birth control. You're not going to get pregnant every time. And you don't need a guy for money. You can work your own job. So now the value add for a guy has to be really high. Because before it was like, listen, do you want to be a fucking unwed, unpregnant loser at 30? Or do you want to get with me because I've got a paycheck? And now, if you're a guy, a paycheck's not enough, And yeah, I think women with like jobs and birth control are like kryptonite to guys who can only offer their wallet, which is the only thing guys have ever really been trained to do.
Okay. Is he done?
Yeah, well, I think so. You want me to see?
No. Okay, let's see.
So I think,
Right,
I think it's hard for guys right now because socially they're just not trained, and nobody wants to train them or learn that because why feminist stuff sucks. When you think of feminist stuff, you think of blue-haired, sissy, progressive, crybaby guys. It doesn't seem like a cool thing, Yeah.
Right, no, even feminists themselves
Okay,
are not
all right.
lining up.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a very trivializing attitude towards the difference between men and women. First of all, men were not their jobs. They were their function that their jobs did. The function that their jobs did was to take care of their families, to protect and provide for their families. Women have not taken over that. If they had genuinely taken over that masculine urge, and I think it must be a masculine urge because women just don't have it. Like, do you see many women who are like, yo, I got a job now. I'm going to find me a stay-at-home husband, and I'm going to take care of, protect and provide for him and the kids. Do you see a lot of that? No.
No.
You don't see it
No,
at
they
all.
still expect men to do those things.
They still expect men to do those things. So, honestly, that really seems to be a male thing. A man, when he gets the ability to take care of someone, he does it. When a woman gets the ability to take care of someone, she doesn't. So you're talking about going and becoming the middle manager at 7-Eleven. That was a masculine thing. No, it wasn't. It's just a job. You know, women throughout all of human history have done the equivalent of being managers at 7-Eleven. It was called running a household, running a farm, running a court, right? Women have always done those things. That didn't make them men. Okay, the big difference that I see is that when men have a job and the ability to take care of someone, they do. And when women have a job and the ability to take care of someone, they don't. Okay, that's the real difference between men and women. And nobody, like, guys are not complaining. Okay, I'm sorry. I think he underestimates the minority of men who would actually be thrilled with a career woman who wants to stay at home husband. He's completely.
Oh, I think so too. I don't think it. But the problem is that there are very few women like that.
Yes, I guarantee that the supply of stay-at-home dads exceeds the demand for stay-at-home dads.
Oh,
the
yeah.
supply vastly exceeds the demand for stay-at-home dads. So he's saying, well, why isn't it that men are not pursuing being more feminine? Well, let's just say, okay, well, let's take it out of the realm of this stupid superficial, childish, oh, this thing is blue, therefore it's a boy. This thing is pink, therefore it's a girl, and put it into the realm of actual behavior, masculine and feminine behavior. All right? Feminine behavior is, I'm going to take care of the home, or I'm going to take care of the person taking care of me. Okay? And there are men who have that kind of a quality. You could argue that farmers have that kind of quality. I'm going to take care of something so it can take care of me. It's fine. You could even see that as sort of like in and of itself, a softer masculine, whatever. All right. There are men out there who want that, who want to do that. The supply of them vastly exceeds the demand among women for them. All right. The reason why men aren't embracing their softer side, their more farmerly side, shall we say, if we don't want to call it feminine, it's farmerly. It's like you nurture something so it will take care of you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
The men who are...
It's the Shire.
It's the Shire, yeah. The Shire masculinity, shall we say. The Hobbit masculinity. Okay, the men who are there wanting to be that don't find partners. Okay, so he's talking about, well, why aren't men, because...
If only men were more like women, women would like them more, but that's just not happening.
That's not
And women
happening.
are not like women are not necessarily becoming more masculine.
No.
They are being told that masculine traits are like better than feminine traits, and so they are trying to adopt them by going out, getting a job,
They're not even being told that the masculine traits are better. They're being told that masculine traits are criminality and being an asshole.
Unless women are doing it.
And having no responsibilities, which is absolutely absurd, unless women are doing it. Yeah. Then they're reclaiming their masculinity or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but my overall point is that what he's identifying as masculine and feminine isn't. Right. What I can see is genuine masculine and feminine is masculine. Go out in the world, provide and protect for the person in the home. And feminine is more be in the home, nurture the person who's providing and protecting for you. You want to reverse that. Again, far more men want to be the Shire masculine, if you want to call it, that kind of quality of nurturing, than women want to take care of them and be that kind of really masculine, that responsible masculine, right?
Yeah.
So what is the situation? Okay. The situation is that women's desires in men have not shifted. It is not a situation. What did he say? He said that Men have embraced their haven't embraced their femininity, but women have embraced
Yeah,
their
women have
masculinity.
basically balanced themselves out because
No, they
they
haven't.
found and maximized their masculine
This
and
is the
feminine
most
side. And men, you know,
absurd.
we're in a box. We're in the man box. We can't get out. We're too insecure. We're too afraid. I mean, he
Right.
doesn't say that explicitly, but it's implied.
Okay, when every single man who wants to be a stay-at-home dad and a nurturer, wants to be the guy who's like taking care, like the farmer type, the shire type, who's taking care of the person who takes care of him, when every single man with that inclination is husbanded up by career women, then this man has a point. We are not there yet. Women don't want that. They want a man who makes more. They want a man who takes them by the hand and says, you'll never have to work again, baby. You won't even have to work at home. You won't have to worry about a thing. Boop. That's the kind of guy they want. They still want that. And what's really has happened is they think the money that they make gets them a higher status, man. Like you see these career women, they're like, I make $250,000 a year. That means I'm entitled to a man who makes $1 million. That's the way they think about it.
Yep. There is another thing too that he says that I was expecting you to bring up, which is that he explicitly says that the what does he say? The red pill and the conservatives or whatever, the Christians, whatever he calls it, however he's strawmanning people, they say that the masculine and the feminine are beautiful and that they both balance each other out and complement each other. And that's a lie because masculinity is just better and femininity is not. That's what he said.
Right.
Yeah. Masculinity is just better. Of course, I mean, Lauren Chen should push back. I don't think she does. But like that women want to raise children and breastfeed. He literally says breastfeed and raise children and essentially prepare the next generation to run the planet. Those things are inferior to masculine traits.
Yes, because you actually think about it. This is something that I've noticed with dog training. Some of the most critical aspects of a dog's achievement, I know that sounds really strange, is training impulse control and attention.
Oh, yeah.
Both of which are what mothers do. Usually. They will train impulse control and attention if they're good mothers. So they are laying the foundation of all achievement in the human race. And this guy's like, oh yeah, masculinity is more important. No, it ain't.
Yeah, he's just like, dude, masculinity is way cooler. And so, like, essentially, he's and this is the moderate guys, the common sense guy.
Yep,
Does not acknowledge that femininity has any benefits only because his enemies think that they do.
Okay.
So basically, because the people he opposes will say, well, women, like, femininity has its own set of valuable traits, and they would probably also acknowledge that it's not black and white and that men have some of those traits as well as women having some of the masculine ones, but whatever, that's way too nuanced. And he's just gonna say, no, women, what we considered feminine traits are just inferior. This is why women are becoming like men now. Which they're not, by the way.
And he has the most simplistic take on what masculine and feminine is.
Yeah, the most
masculine is jobs. Masculine is no, it's not. Women have had jobs throughout history, you dumbass. Like,
I got another super chat. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the screen. From Richard Pierre. He says, weren't bachelors heavily recruited for jobs that were at a higher risk of not always coming back home from? I think that the Pony Express part of the Postal Service heavily recruited from orphanages because if a writer were lost, then there wouldn't be any unsupported family as a result.
Yes, that's 100% true. And bachelors were sent like in a war context. They were sent in more dangerous positions too, because people didn't want to see families without a father. That's as simple as that. All right. Okay. So I just want to remind everybody.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone we are doing our. I did start the monthly fundraiser early to try to cover the shortfall and the subscription.
Well, also February is a short month.
Yeah, February is a short month, so we just wanted to get the ball whirling. Even though this February, we
Although
get
I
an
do
extra
think it's
day.
leap year. You know
Yes,
that?
it
I think
is.
it's
We get an
leap
extra
year
day.
this year. Yeah.
Indeed, yeah. So we did start it a bit early. So feedthebadger.com/support. Get some shekels in the hat for that. It's always very helpful to get it in early because it takes a weight off our mind. And if you want to say anything, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Don't let it just be Richard Pierre. Somebody else get some words in edgewise. You know?
All right.
We need additional perspectives, a plurality of perspectives, if you will. All right,
Yeah.
let's go.
All right, let's keep going.
For the male feminist ally, like cuddlefish person who's no, but it's kind of interesting because I feel like there are a lot of red pill guys who, strangely enough, share the same opinion that like historically men were kind of there to be the breadwinners, but now that we no longer need men as women to be the breadwinners, it's kind of like torpedoed relationships. I feel like as a woman,
wait. Here's a good counterexample. All right, if you didn't need men as breadwinners in order to form relationships, why aren't relationships forming?
Yeah.
Like that. The thing is that hasn't changed. Everybody's like, "Oh, this has changed." It hasn't changed. A woman who makes $250,000 a year is making $250,000 a year because she thinks it gives her a claim on a man who makes $1 million. Or
Yep.
at the very least, she just thinks that gives her a claim on a man who makes $1 million. And it's like, this hasn't changed. And again, if the situation was had changed, then families would be forming, even if men aren't making more than women. But that's not what's happening, friends.
No.
An exact opposite is happening. And it's because women haven't changed their expectations. They haven't. And you can say what you want about men not embracing their feminine side. They're not embracing shyer masculinity because women don't want it.
Nope.
They want men to come in, you know, in their, like, I don't know, Porsche with their gigantic money bags being lifted with your gigantic biceps and sweep her off out of her cubicle, you know, and say, "You'll never have to work again, baby." Not lift a freaking finger. That's what they want. They still want it. What do you look at the freaking romance novels?
Yep.
Like,
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. Okay. Are we going to see 50 Shades of stay-at-home dad? No. Are we going to
The problem is that, like, you know, there's an elephant in the room, and in some cases a literal elephant in the room, which is women's standards. Like, I mean, no one wants to talk about it. They're so are they just terrified to even say, you know, I think you guys are asking for the moon, and you know, we just can't get that to you.
Well, they're asking for something that men no longer are. They're no longer the primary
exactly. Well, and the fact that
50 Shades of we both work.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, like, if you want to a situation where that's not necessary, we're gonna have to work on, like, you know, fixing the economy, which means you're gonna have to be more involved in that and stop asking for gibs.
Yeah, we're gonna have to remove all of the artificial props that women have.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think's gonna happen when you ask for equal pay and they put in all this freaking stuff, like all of this extra, like this woman only escalator to the top? Well, more of you are gonna end up on the top, and less men. And that's why you can't find men you want to marry. And don't give me this shit about, they're just not feminine. You don't want that. If you did, all of the men who are actually like that would already have partners. Gladly. Because once again, the men with a shyer masculinity, I don't know if we should go with that. You guys have got to give me some feedback on that one.
I got some feedback. So I got a super chat from Zeranx for $5. He says Destiny's dismissal of men and women being completely complementary, speaks to how much feminism has influenced and undermined the culture. I remember Brian criticized Sargon for being annoyed with the idea that men ask women what they bring to the table. I think he's correct. The question asks women what they do that's equal to men. Home is where the heart is, has been a saying. I thought about it and considered home is where the hearth is. The hearth before electricity was a source of light and heat for the home if no candles were available. Where the cooking is done, where water is boiled for bathing, and a source of heat for the home. On his own, a man would have to get the hearth going in order to cook and mind it as it was going. If he was out hunting for what he'd have to skin and clean or cutting and cooking, result of the hunt, that's an all-day job. The woman being at home could handle the issue of maintaining the hearth, reducing the workload, you know, being a helpmeet. Sorry for the length and the $5 low on funds. No problem. Well, I think that, like, to say that my problem with it, him saying that, was because he was only putting it on men. And the truth is that all relationships are transactional, but they're not only transactional, but more importantly, it's women that are the ones that are essentially, you know, marketing this. Like, men, I think there was a video, and maybe this isn't like the best. I'm not going to call this data, but I think it's a microcosm. There was a video, it's one of those like interview on the street videos, and there was the interviewer was talking to a guy and a girl, young man, young woman. They were on a date, I assume. And he asked the man how much money he had in his bank account. And the man said $1,500. Then he asked the girl how much she had in her bank account. We don't know the context. I don't know if they were just, you know, looking to see like if young people are saving up. They were Zoomers. And the girl said, "Oh, $70K." And the boyfriend looked at her. In his eyes, he said $70,000. She was like, "Yeah, my dad gave it to me." And he was like, "I just spent $400 on this date. And you had $70,000 in the bank?" Now, the reason why I bring this up is because the man knew that he had to shell out in order to woo this girl. The girl, even though she definitely had plenty of money, saw no reason. And they ended up getting into a fight and everything because she was like, "You're supposed to pay for my dates." She had $70,000 in her bank account. He had $1,500, and he was still expected to spend money on her. So when I get annoyed because men are asking, "Hey, before I enter a relationship with you, I know that you now, modern woman, are liberated and yet still dependent. Like you have all of the modern day conveniences of living in the world that was built for you so that you can live in this world." Like women, people like Destiny, for example, if it weren't for all of the hardworking men that keep society running, streamer would not exist as a job. He would be plowing the fields, or he would be dead. It would be like, so there is the lack of grace for this is mind-boggling. Yes. So this woman, she had 70 grand in the bank and saw no reason to say, "You know what? I know you're struggling," because if he's got 1,500 in his bank account, and he was a young guy, maybe 20 years old, he probably was working maybe he's in college working a part-time job. Maybe he's just got a low-paying job or whatever. I don't know. But she didn't even think, "Oh, well, I should probably, you know, I'm a modern world woman living in the modern world. I should probably act like it and like, you know, maybe like put this out." But no, not only did she not do that, and not only did she even say, "Okay, well, maybe I haven't been dating him that long and I don't know what his potential is, but, you know, I'm not going to presume that I am entitled to his money." No, she didn't even do that. She said, basically, even though I have 70K in the bank and you only have 1,500 and you spent $400 on this date, I still expect you to do that because you are the man. So essentially what it means is we live in the modern world, but men still have to follow a traditional role, which basically means nothing because it's not even something that she would say, "Oh my God, I didn't know that you didn't have much. I'm so grateful." No. She was just like, "No, this is what you're supposed to do." And this is not abnormal. So I just wanted to say that modernity has changed women, their expectations.
No, it hasn't. It has not changed.
Well, I mean like their conditions, I guess. Like they have.
It hasn't changed. Okay, this is the problem. Women have not changed, right? They still have the same expectations on men than when men had advantages in order to fulfill those expectations. This is the thing I'm trying to get across to people. Women have not changed. They have not become more masculine. Because what if that guy was dating another man and that had happened, how likely would that guy have been like, oh shit, dude, well, let me take the next one, or let me give you half? Like, how likely would that man have turned and looked at other men and said, whoa, okay, well, I actually think that I should provide for you since I am the one who is flush with money, right? That is a masculine urge as far as I can tell, because now that women have money, they don't want to give it to men. But when men had money, they were perfectly happy giving it to women. You see what I'm getting at? I think you're perfectly
my point was
when they don't have
my
money.
My point is that women are no longer, even by his own arguments, dependent on men's resources, because women can acquire their own resources. So they're the gender roles for women, and not what their expectations are, but like what is expected of them has changed. Like, we don't expect anything from women, but men's gender role is the same because it's what women impose on them.
Women,
and in fact, it's even harder for men because now they're competing against women.
Yes, women have not changed their expectations of men. They still have the same expectations of men from a time when the system was structured such that men could fulfill those expectations. That's what's really happening. Every society is structured in such a way that a man can become attractive to the women of that society, right? We have destroyed that. We have destroyed the ability for men to become attractive to women in our society based on the expectations that women have that have not changed. They have not changed. The expectations have not changed at all. That's the problem. The problem that has happened is that men no longer have the system of living up to those expectations that helps them live up to those expectations. That is gone. And in fact, the opposite is occurring. We have a system that actively sabotages men's ability to live up to women's expectations. But women's expectations have not changed, not in the slightest. Woman with a $250,000 income doesn't want a stay-at-home man, a stay-at-home husband. She wants a man who makes $1 million. She still wants a man who can say, babe, you'll never have to work again, and sweeps her away into a life of complete leisure. She still wants that. You know, maybe she's in some way she might enjoy the attention or the recognition she gets in her job, but she doesn't see the job the way men did. Men see a job as a way to support their families. That's what they did when they were the ones who had the jobs and women didn't, or at least the outside jobs. That's how they saw it. Women have never taken over that role of I am the one who is responsible. Okay, I'm the one who's going to provide and protect. Women have never taken over that role. So that role must be a very masculine role. Because even when women are given every single tool to build the masculine hope chest, they don't do it. They don't. Like, they're given every single tool to become the provider. They don't. They just don't. Because it's not who they are. Women are not providers. They're not protectors. They're not the ones who take bullets. They're not the ones who bring home make sure the bottom line is met. They're the ones who expect to have it done for them. That has not changed. All we've done is we fucked ourselves as a society by making men incapable of fulfilling women's desires for them. And this man is dumb.
Yep.
You know, that's one thing. Like, I can handle a lot of things from a man, but stupidity is where I draw the line. Well, I can just...
Let's play some more.
All right.
Trump card throughout the stream. That kind of overlook, like, yes, obviously there was the financial aspect to it, but I don't think that's enough. I don't think that completely explains why we're seeing like marriage rates decline, because I think there's a lot of women out there who, even if they were, let's say, you know, a billionaire guy, you know, 50 Shades of Grey, super attractive, whatever, they still want someone who's actually like a good father and someone who's caring and an actual partner. And I think when there are a lot of guys who complain like, oh, well, women just aren't interested in dating nowadays. It's like, yes, we are. Women still very much are interested in partners, but I feel like men are kind of at a loss as to how to relate emotionally to women in that regard.
What the hell is she saying?
He's blaming men. It's
Okay.
a different problem. Like, yeah, she's like,
so
she's like,
basically-
oh, women are looking for partners. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen exactly how much hatred there is for men from women online. I think Lauren is looking at like the girls in her circle, and that's great for you, but that's not the reality.
Okay, I'm gonna point this out. It's getting a little tedious watching two people just explain why we need to blame men again, as if that's going to continue to work. Like, and I know why people like this are popular. It's because there is a gigantic tear in the sky, and they're telling people not to worry about it. Oh no, we'll just blame men. That'll make it work. That'll make everything go away if we just blame men. It's like, you know that logically that is going to stop working eventually. Because if you blame men enough, you take away the tools for men to fix problems. It's like, blame the plumber, we're taking away his wrench. Blame the plumber, we're going to take away the PVC piping. Blame the plumber, we're going to take away that stuff that they use to fill in. I shouldn't have used plumber because I don't know plumbing supplies, but you get what I'm saying. Blame this plumber, take another tool that he needs to fix the problem away. You see, that's what we're doing to men. It's like, blame men, take their tools away. Oh, they can't fix it. Well, blame them again, take more tools. Oh, they can't fix it. Well, blame them again. Kneecap them for fuck's sake. Blame them again. Beat the shit out of them. Blame them again. Shoot them in the head. Blame them again. Cut off their head. Blame them again. Unbury their body and piss on it. Why isn't this working? Every time you blame men, you make them less capable of solving problems. Every time, because every time you blame men, you take something more away from them. And then you increase your expectations. So, yeah, good luck to you guys. Watch this not work for the billionth time. Have you ever considered not blaming men? Okay.
All right, let's continue.
I think that we can also dive in on any of these things on a deeper level. I don't know if I would agree with the
this man
women want like a good father thing.
I
Again, I think the expectations for parenthood were way different back then. I'm borrowing heavily from my own household experience, which I hear echoed a lot, and then I'm borrowing heavily from like sitcoms at the time. But I feel like the vast majority of the parenting was left up to the woman.
So basically,
and I feel like
you're full of shit.
Yeah, right. I watch sitcoms, so let's use that as the standard for. Do you realize, like, who runs who was writing the stories for sitcom? Anyway, let's hear what he has to say. It's bad argumentation.
Men, the meme was always like, they go to work, they come home, you leave them alone in the evening, and then hopefully they kind of like play with you on the weekends. And that was like
according to my
in terms of
selection
expectations.
bias.
Yeah.
According to my selection bias. Okay.
But then,
right.
but if you said, okay, the thing is too, I don't think, obviously it's not a good way to measure reality, but if I were to, he's going to bring up like, I don't know, like Boy Meets World. But if I had brought up like Leave It to Beaver, he would tell me how that was bad because, 1950s, even though that wasn't the reality for people either. But because it's more regressive and it's less credible. So it's just like, this guy's not really.
All right. Well, really what people should be saying is, I'll stop you there. So you're basing this on nothing but your own perception and bias. Well, first of all, let's bring in some actual evidence, which itself isn't necessarily ironclad, but at least it's better than whatever Destiny is working off of. Let's look at the Victorian father. Like, they did I believe a qualitative study of letters that children had written about their fathers, and they described them as involved, as loving, as doting. They described them in very glowing terms, and that was in Victorian England. So if you can take and it's a biased sample because these are children who are writing about their fathers. But if you can take that, it can't be that common for fathers to be completely uninvolved with their children. And the other thing is, I want to point out that in the 50s, in the 40s, late 40s and the 50s, you were dealing with a lot of men who had just gone through an incredible trauma. And one of the symptoms of a traumatic experience is post-traumatic stress syndrome, obviously, which includes problems connecting with people on an emotional level. So if we look at the situation in the 50s, you got to actually consider the effect of that. But here's the other thing. Let's look at it from an evo-psych perspective. Humans evolved to have paternal investment. If men are not able to take care of their kids, that's not on them. If men are not taking care of their kids, it's probably because they are damaged, abused, sexually or otherwise, or because they're not being allowed to, because the courts are taking them from them, right? Men have paternal instincts. Men want to take care of their kids. If men are not taking care of their kids, it is not something that is the fault of men. It is the fault of the circumstance that is thwarting that instinct. All right, there you go. Let us continue. Like, there's just something about his behavior that's really obnoxious. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well,
Really
no,
should be more polite.
Yeah, I get it. I don't think that he knows about that. Okay, I got a super chow from Richard Bier again. What?
You got 2 super chows.
Oh, I got 2. Wait, did another one just come through? Yeah, I did. Okay. How many of these women are craving the recognition and accolades that men receive for achievement without doing the actual achieving, because the achieving is the ick that women don't find glamorous enough to touch? Well, that's the reason why they won't do the jobs that are actually allowing them to do the jobs that they want to do. That's the thing that I think a lot of women and people like Destiny don't recognize, is that what they do can only exist in a world where the jobs they don't want to do exist. So if you're like thinking, well, I don't think people should have to have kids or start families, you know, so what if the birth rates go to hell? So what? Right? Then what you're going to find is in one generation, they're going to be like, yeah, the power grid's going to be down again because we don't have enough men to work on it. And it will be men doing that, right? Oh, well, it looks like you're all going to have to, ration out like your gas and your heating and your air conditioning and, and all these other things because we don't have enough men doing this work. And of course, all of a sudden, the streamers and podcasters and the online intellectuals, they're not going to have anything to do because like their jobs can only exist in a world as comfortable and as safe and as productive as this one, which is only possible if men are running everything. And all we have to do is acknowledge that reality, because it is a reality, it is the truth, and then maybe from there we can start going, you know what, we kind of need men. We need them to run everything, because women are not going to do it, Richard, just like you said. They're not. They want to do the stuff that's going to give them the like the
recognition and money.
Yeah,
well,
they want
it's attention and recognition, then money.
Attention, recognition, and clout, and maybe like lattes and like those videos where it's like, here's a day in the life at Google, and they're playing and going to meetings all day. Meanwhile, Google just fired like a bunch of people, or at least a lot of these tech companies fired a bunch of people, women, because they weren't useful. Because at the end of the day, you're going to need the men, whether that's the men that are like, working, like breaking their backs doing labor and other work, or they are the spurgy intellectual guys with the thick glasses that are keeping all the programs running. You're going to need those guys because they are the backbone. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I know Destiny doesn't understand that because he thinks that when he like plugs something in and it turns on, it's just magic. It's not, nothing's causing this, right? That's why he's okay with all this. Like this is like a worldview that's only possible in the first world.
Yeah, it is, honestly, or even not in the non-rural parts of the first world. like in the
Yeah.
big cities. Because when you're in the town, you're a lot closer to who's doing the infrastructure. There's a
Yeah,
lot less invisible
exactly.
because you know
Yeah.
the family names and you
Yep.
know who they are. Okay.
Yep.
You know,
Okay, and I got another super
responsible
chow
for
from
fixing-
Richard. Another super chat
okay.
from Richard. He says for $5, how many sitcoms feature a father that after getting married is so incompetent that he would expire if he weren't reminded to breathe? That's
Too
like
many.
all of the modern ones, and basically not. When I say modern, I mean like in the last 40 years. You know, I know you guys are not gonna like this, but I think it kind of started with Married with Children. As much as everybody likes that show, I think that was one of the first examples of that Homer Simpson dad.
Okay.
All right.
And then like even like Boy Meets World and stuff. Although I think that father was a little bit more emotionally in tune with Corey and Sean. But I feel like the meme was always like, go ask your mom, go talk to your mom, go talk to your mom about this. Dude, you know, I just gotta leave me blah blah blah. And I feel like that was
because
kind
the
of
mom was considered to be the moral center and moral and emotional center of the family.
Yeah, you're basically like giving. You're
According-
telling us the truth right now
According
about
to
media.
This Barry Larson strip.
It's
It's male mosquitoes that bite. Like you are a dumbass. Like what the hell is this nonsense? Like according to my own personal bias, this is how I see the
Yeah.
world. Yeah,
I watched
thank
TV
you.
when I was a kid. Let me tell you about
Thank you for
fatherhood.
your opinion. Okay, you like so far again. I guess there was a little bit more meat to what he was saying about men and women, although I've heard all of it before. Like every single fucking bit of it before.
You're a little low, Allison.
Okay.
A little
I
bit.
must have-
Get a little closer to your mic.
No, it's
little
not
bit.
that. It's not that. It's that okay, this
Yeah,
I
that's
need-
better.
Yeah, I need to switch. Okay, I'm gonna do something here. Hopefully this will
All right.
change that. Because
gonna-
I keep brushing this mic has this little touchpad and I keep brushing it accidentally, which is reducing the volume. Okay,
Yeah.
so I turn the touchpad so it's up away from my hands. And
Yeah.
hopefully that'll wait, why did you just go down? Like I didn't even touch you and you went down. I think my mic is haunted. This is actually really scary. I'm gonna turn the light on now.
All right, I'm gonna play more of the video. How much longer do you want to do this? We're about 10 minutes in, so we're not doing too bad.
Oh yeah, for us, no. Okay.
ironically the
let's,
standard, I think, for a lot of
What?
let's keep up till the next question.
All right.
does at the time. And I think that the expectations for co-parenting, the expectations for emotional involvement of the father, I feel like those have all increased pretty dramatically over time. I really do feel
That's bullshit, man. Men have always co-parented. Stop it. Like the
Yeah.
go ask your mom thing, that's not reality, dude. Like my father, I learned not long ago that my father and my mother never got married, but they lived together, and as far as I could tell, they were married. They were basically together. She just didn't marry him for whatever reason. I think my mom, she's got a feminist side to her. She's got a little Jezebel spirit going on. But my dad, I was lucky. Like they were a good compliment for me. There were things that I wanted, that I wanted to ask my father about, and he would ask me to talk to my mom. But the only reason was because he knew that he was going to demand the final say, and he was mostly indifferent. So but it wasn't like, oh, I'm not involved with my kids. That's bullshit. Like my father would take us, out, and we'd play sports, and he'd coach a little league team, and I wouldn't even say he was like the ideal father, but he was involved, and he loves us very much. And I think that, like, when Destiny says, oh yeah, I look at my home life, I think he's going to go into his own home life, and he's going to claim that his parents were great, but then he's going to criticize his dad. And I think this is really getting to the root of his problems, because I think he does resent his father, but he pretends like his father was okay, because he needs to justify his beliefs about men and women. So he has to be like, oh yeah,
Okay,
men just need to be more like women, and then it'll be okay.
We are a biparental species, which means men have every bit as much desire, for the most part, to parent their
Yes.
children as women. So if men are not doing it, what's stopping them, Destiny? What force is stopping men from being able to be what they were meant to be in terms of their evolution? Okay?
Yeah.
Let's hear what he has to say.
All right.
I feel like in the past, I feel like we over romanticize a lot of things. Oh God, I don't know how old you are now, but I'm 35 now, and now I'm old enough to where I see lower generations talk about the older generations, and I see how fucking stupid it is. And I know I've done this when I was in my 20s, but some girl on Twitter was tweeting out. She's what was she? I think she was a Gen Zer. She tweets out and she's like, "This is bullshit. I work at Walmart 40 hours a week." Did you see this video? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yeah. I saw
She's
that.
crying in the car and she's like, 20 years ago, on minimum wage, you could afford blah, 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 blah. And it's like, 20 years ago, I worked at McDonald's for $5.15 an hour. You can afford shit. What the fuck?
Yeah, you had to have a roommate. Yeah, you weren't. I mean, I was on like the federal minimum when I was in college for sure. I didn't have my own like 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. No way.
So I feel like when they talk about the past, I feel like they romanticize the fuck out of a lot. Where they're like, oh, the average man was like an emotionally stable guy that worked a hard job, white picket fence, good union work.
I'm sorry,
mom had
dude.
3 kids, dinner on the table.
You're making that up, bro. Nobody thought it was ideal.
Yeah,
It was all people doing the best they could.
Okay, how's my sound?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Young men. Oh, see, it just dropped down for some reason. Do you see that?
I hear it.
Yes, it's just like randomly dropping down. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm blowing out the mic. Who knows? Anyway, it's got this like mentality where I'm constantly fighting. It did it again. All right, my mic is haunted, everybody. I don't even know. Like, is this like a fed mic? Is it glowing? Like what? Like, just.
I'm gonna turn you up a little bit, and you just go ahead and talk.
Okay. All right, because it always seems to want to go to there. You see, right in the middle. I didn't touch anything.
Maybe you have the ability to set like a gain limit or something. You call it.
Yeah.
Where like it can't go over a limiter. There might be a limiter on it. But just make your point. Let's just move on.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to get really close. Okay. So my point is, yes, young men are more fucked up than I remember. And the reason, in my opinion, the reason why is because we are now on generation 3 of deliberately harming men's mental health. Like, you think it doesn't have an effect? It does. And
it almost sounds like you're about to blame women, Allison. We can't do that. You got to blame somebody, but it can't be women.
All right. I'm not going to necessarily... Okay. This is a dynamic, right? Young men are, like, I think they are 7 times more likely to commit suicide. And this isn't on them. This is not on them. This is 3 generations now of this bullshit that is harming that's actively harming their mental health. Like, I talked about how the therapy industry not only doesn't help men, with this new information that I'm getting, it sounds like it's actively harmful to men. Like, it is men who commit suicide, most of them, something like 90% of them I've seen, have been in contact with the mental health industry or some aspect of frontline services. And I'm saying, instead of asking men why they don't get help, maybe the reason why they're committing suicide is because they got in contact with help, and help actively made it worse. To the point, like, that maybe they were holding out hope. Well, if I go to a therapist, and the therapist makes everything worse. Well, that's the last hope off the and this is what I'm looking at. Yep. It is an absolute bloodbath when it comes to the well-being, the sense of well-being for young men. And I see the dysfunction because I actually go and I talk to young men, which I really doubt Destiny does. And I also doubt Lauren Chen does. I mean, this is the other thing about these YouTube talking heads. They don't talk to people. They talk at people. I talk to people daily, and young men. And I see the damage. And the funny thing is, it isn't even the guys who support the show, because they are actually pretty stable, pretty normal. in a lot of ways, although I think that they're a little bit on the I think they're first adopters for new ideas. I'm talking about like when Shoe on Head did that video, there was a raft of guys that came into the free section that I talked to, and I'm like, these dudes, their minds are absolutely full of fuck. And I'm like, people don't know that because like one guy was like, you would never know how damaged I am because I'm, you know, in my workplace because of the way I act in my job. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what's going on. All of these guys are keeping it together for their jobs, but outside of the jobs, they are incredibly damaged. And they suffer from obsessive disorders. They suffer from depression and all kinds of other stuff. And I am not talking about the guys who support us and the ones that I actually talk to regularly. Because compared to what that little peek into Shu's audience, no offense, guys, that little peek into her audience was terrifying because I knew that is more like the average man. And the average man is one sharp shock from complete and utter destruction. And I'm like, these two people who only talk at others, they never talk with them, they have no clue the razor's edge that we are walking now. Because these are the guys that are keeping everything running, and their mental health is absolutely shit. And nobody cares, and nobody's doing anything about it, and they keep pumping more of the toxin that's harming them into the atmosphere, and nobody cares. And what are these two doing? Well, let's blame them some more. You know, they're faltering. Let's put some more weight on that dying donkey. Let's see how much weight they can carry. Like, this is stupid. And look at the fucking size of their audience, increasing the problem. And that's all they're doing. You notice this? This is their only solution at the end of the day. This is the only solution of every single political group out there. Blame men. And that's it.
Yeah. You guys should
Oh, okay.
leave a comment, productive critique of this discussion. I think that would be.
And what's going to happen is they're going to continue to blame men until the lights start going out. And then they're going to blame men some more. And then the plumbing is going to go out. And then they're going to blame men some more. And the internet's going to go out. And then they're going to blame men some more, and they'll have nothing to fucking eat. And they'll keep blaming men because they are so heavily invested in the entire edifice that justifies blaming men. And this is the thing. Like, when our civilization, when the destruction layer is unearthed by the future archaeologists, this is the thing. They're going to be like, well, what destroyed this? What caused this system's collapse? Well, look, it must have been men because everybody was blaming them. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you guys are just going to keep fucking doing that. Just going to keep pushing that. Well, I guess we're doing that. I guess that's what we're doing. And again, I am not talking about the guys who support us, the people who are sort of organically came to become our audience. Because you guys, you actually give me hope for the future. Because at the very least, you're willing to question aspects of this stuff that isn't working. You're willing to look at it and say, hey, this isn't working. And you're willing to question your attachment to that. I mean, you don't realize, like, you guys who are supporting us, you guys who are listening to us, and you aren't like foaming at the mouth because, oh my God, we need to blame men. How dare they not do that? You know, you guys, you don't give yourselves enough pats on the back because you don't realize how special you are, how rarefied, how unique, and how strong you are compared to this shit. Because all they know is blaming men, and all they'll ever know is blaming men as the lights turn out.
So I got a Rumble rant, which I missed.
Oh,
I don't know why it didn't show up in my chat. like my social stream chat. But NovaFan21 gave us $2 and said, Destiny says he gets the idea of traditional marriage and gender roles from sitcoms. That says a lot. Yeah, it's almost like that's the function of propaganda. And he fell for it. Thank you for that, NovaFan. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any of those. And I'm
sorry for my ranting, guys, but I just want to put that out there. These two will be blaming men until the end days. They'll be blaming men even when they realize, oh shit, I think blaming men is causing the end days. But what do? Let's blame men some more. Why didn't men stop us from blaming them? They're to blame. Like, this is it. This is their entire, every single political group. It all comes down to this. Blaming men. I hope people have noticed that. Have you started to notice that? Everything. Every political position is all part of the blame men party. Yeah, we should probably talk about this.
Yeah, let's
do the palate cleanser.
Let's wind down and do a palate cleanser. So we're gonna be looking at this.
I got pretty hepped up. I'm sorry, guys. I'll play.
Fine.
Is it really though?
Well, I mean, Allison. I mean, until people realize what's going on, we're just gonna have to keep trying to show them. That's all. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, not everyone's gonna be okay, but some of us are. So, and those of us who are will be like, we'll move on and probably adapt. Like, so when we lose, like, some of our conveniences, some of our comforts of modernity, the people who are left will probably be okay with it because they will probably be able to adapt. So, all right. So we have this article. Institute for Family Studies. Do you just want me to read it?
I don't think it's very long. You could take a look at how long it is, and then we could conjecture upon it.
Yeah,
it's just
but I'll read it. Okay.
All right, let's just. Okay.
All right. Are married people still happier? By Nicholas H. Wolfing. And it reads. For a long time, the prevailing assumption in the social sciences has been that married people, husbands and wives alike, are happier than their unmarried people. Nearly 25 years ago, sociologist Linda Waite made this point in her presidential address, the Population Association of America. More recently, Brad Wilcox and I presented data to this effect in our 2016 book, Soulmates. To be sure, the evidence about the direct benefits of marriage is weaker than it used to be. Studies have shown that the benefits of marriage for health and men's wages are a product of selection, not causation. Healthier men and men with greater earning capacity are more likely to get married in the first place.
Yep.
Stuff that we already knew. Nonetheless, no one has questioned the benefits of marriage for happiness in the decades since the late sociologist Jessie Bernard first did so in her book, The Future of Marriage. How strong is a relationship? Data from the General Social Survey, GSS, collected between 2010 and 2018 are representative. Here is a graph. It says, Figure 1A, happiness by marital and parenthood status for adults age 18 50. Males, this is
the total.
Oh, married. It's just, what was that?
It's the total. It's men and women.
Yeah, it's just both the adults, right? So married, 40 like with no kids is 40%, with kids 41%. Yeah, what?
No, it's just I'm just repeating what you said. It's 41.
Okay. Separated and divorced 24% without kids, 18% with kids. Obviously that's got to be the toughest, right? And never married, 22% and 20%.
Yeah, so a single woman with children is half as likely, or no. Well, let's look at the female. Let's look at the females.
Yeah, we'll keep going. The story is straightforward. Married respondents are much happier, and consistent with prior research, parents are a little less happy than non-parents, provided they are unmarried. In addition, the results don't look that different when limited to female survey respondents as below. So here is just women, right?
Yep.
So married women are the happiest, 45%. So still like lower, less than half, but that's kind of weird. And 41%.
No. This is like very happy. This is very happy.
Very happy. Okay.
So the results are very happy, neutral.
Oh yeah, right. It says right here, percentage very happy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
45% very happy, 41% if they have children, so slightly less happy.
Yeah.
Apparently, only slightly though. If they don't have kids,
Children.
and they're separated, is 27%. With kids, 20%. Never married, 24%. And if they're single mothers, 19%. Right?
Yeah. So across the board, single mothers.
Single moms are the least happy.
The
That's
least
basically
happy.
what it's saying. Here are the mirror image results for adults looking at unhappiness rather than happiness. The same pattern holds. So this is like couples in general. We have unhappiness. Married couples are only 6%. Not
7%. Yeah.
2 or 6. Oh yeah, right. Well, married without kids, married with kids.
Yes.
So
it's 6% for married, no kids, very unhappy, and 7% with no kids.
It says
with
not
kids.
too happy, so I guess
Not
not
too
like
happy.
really unhappy, but not
So it's
thrilled.
For separated, separated parents, it's 23%, not too happy. 16% not too happy for separated men and women without children. So
Yes.
16% not too happy for so 16% not too happy for separated and never married men and women without children, and it's 22% not too happy for single mothers and single dads. Okay, so let's go
Single
look down.
parents, yeah, but most of them
parents.
are probably moms.
Let's
We can
look at
observe a similar pattern when the sample is limited to just women. Children increase unhappiness a little more for separated/divorced or never married women, likely in response to the challenges of being a mom.
which were chosen in most cases.
Yeah, it's a choice. No, it is, unless the man dies, like he's widowed or he leaves her or something. But I think in many
rare.
cases, it is a choice. So as you
Okay.
can see, a single
So-
mom. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll read it out. So the not too happy statistic is for women is married with no children, 6%, married with children, 7%, separated or divorced with no children, 14%, with children, 24%, never married without children, 14%, never married with children, 21%. So across the board, single mothers or single women, well, in particular single mothers, are 3 times more likely to be not too happy and half as likely to be very happy as married women. As married women. The single biggest thing a woman can do to improve her chances of being happy is have a relationship with a man.
And stay with him.
And stay with him. That is the single biggest thing. Not a job, not an achievement at the job, not a house, not a mouse. Single biggest thing that a woman can do to be happy is to have a man. Now, that makes perfect sense because, again, we are biparental mammals with instincts around pair bonding. In fact, pair bonding is our win condition as biparental mammals. You know, that's what we instinctively regard as our win condition. And what a surprise that when women fulfill their instinctive win condition, they are happier. And here's the thing. It's not just being in a relationship. Because when women choose other women, their unhappiness increases, their rate of depression increases, their rate of domestic and violence increases, their rate of sexual assault increases, right? So when women are in relationships with other women, well, they find out what it's like to be in a relationship with a woman. But
Yeah.
so it's not a situation where it's just having a partner. It's specifically having a man in her life. A man is the single best thing a woman can do for herself. I want guys to understand that on today. Like you're probably a lot of you might be sitting alone, or maybe you're women who are listening to this, and you actually are interested in men's issues, which is a rare breed. But you're definitely it's good to talk to you as well. The single best thing a woman can do for herself is have a man. You are, as men, the most valuable things in a woman's life, even if they don't have you. Even if they've decided to replace a man with an obsession with ideology, what they reap from that is misery. Like, and this is something that men need to realize this. Have always been the most important thing for women. And they have been convinced through generations of this frankly bullshit, unscientific excuse for an ideology that is not the case. And the benefit that they are reaping, the so-called benefit, is they're now more miserable, more medicated, more hateful, and more disturbed than ever, because they have replaced the most beneficial thing in their life, which was a man or a potential man, with feminism. Woohoo!
Yep.
And they continue to do that, or they try to replace that with another woman. And they discover what it's like to be in a relationship with somebody who also regards their partner in terms of a utility. You know, like it's just, and it's sad. It's sad that women have been convinced otherwise. That they have been convinced that they don't need to learn how to be in a relationship. I mean, it's not that hard. If I've managed it, anybody can. Because I'm not the easiest person to get along with, and I know that, right? If I can do it, anybody can.
Yeah.
All you have to do is want to. All you have to do is want to. That's it. A man will be happy if you are making an effort to try to be a good partner in some way. They'll be happy with that. Even if you fail, even if you fall on your face, but you have to want to. You have to be willing to. Like that older lady who has had a 50-year relationship said, you have to be willing to be wrong sometimes. You have to be willing to say, yeah, I'm the one who needs to grow and change. I'm the one who needs to adapt. I'm the one who needs to improve my social skills. I'm the one who needs to close my mouth sometimes. You got to be able to do that. And you know what? When you do that, you also become a better person to yourself, which is probably why we're seeing these stats. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, when you can be happy with a man, maybe you're also learning to be happy by yourself in some ways. Anyway, I'm just pointing this out, and I want men to know this. I want the men listening to me now to know this. Regardless of what you hear today, regardless of what you hear in the world, on TV, regardless of the talking heads like Lauren Chen, who only talk at people, they never listen to them, right? They never talk with people, and all their entire toolkit consists of blaming men harder. Let's double down on that blaming of men, because surely that's gonna make a difference this time. That's it. That's all they have to offer. Despite all of them and all of their attitudes, at the end of the day, the most valuable thing in a woman's life is a man. And that has not changed. Mm-hmm. The only thing has changed is now women are incapable of being partners with men. Because we have destroyed the system that gave men the ability to become attractive to women. And women still demand that men be as attractive as they were when that system was intact. Right? You know, we cut men off at the knees, but women still want them to be as tall as they were before we were doing that. Right? So that hasn't changed. All that's changed is that women have inherited now 3 generations of smack talk about the worth of men. And 3 generations of the deconstruction of what made men attractive to women in the past. And they have not changed what they expect. That's what's happened. There's nothing wrong with you. Okay? Most people can improve, you know, like maybe you can, I don't know, improve skills. Maybe you can improve your social skills by having certain jobs or going out and being part of clubs. That's fine. there's always room for improvement. But unlike what everybody is saying to men, what men are indeed the most important thing to women, and they will always be. And when this society crashes and burns, and women are rolling over and dying, they're not going to regret not getting that raise. Like, you think that's what you regret on your deathbed? Oh, geez, I wish I'd earned that extra of 25 cents an hour. I wish I'd gotten that placard on my freaking office. No, it's not.
Yeah.
So women have been brainwashed. And you know what? I know exactly why they've been brainwashed. At the end of the day, it doesn't even have anything to do with benefiting women. And feminism never did. It's a fucking psyop. And if it isn't a psyop, it's an advertising campaign. Women worship an advertising campaign. It's as absurd. It's as ridiculous as women worshiping margarine. Like that Mellow Yellow ad. Do you remember the Mellow Yellow ad?
No, I don't know what you're talking about, but worshiping margarine just makes my tongue sticky. Thinking about it.
Thing. If women had worshipped margarine or Jell-O molds or IKEA furniture, which is essentially the same thing, they're worshiping a cargo cult. Feminism is an advertising campaign. Sex war is an advertising campaign. You're worshiping an advertising campaign. It's a cargo cult. Right? If they had worshipped anything else, we would be better off. I mean, maybe there would be a lot of margarine sculptures. Maybe there would be even more elaborate Jell-O mold sculptures. But, I think I would pay, I think that's a price I would pay for. I would pay. Every house would have like their 7-foot Jell-O mold sculpture. Some weird head cheese thing. That's fine. If that's how women had self-actualized, we would be better off than this sex war, cargo cult advertising campaign called feminism. Possibly also a CIA psyop. Okay, I have finished my rant. I'm done.
Okay. I think we should wrap it up because we've gone for 2 hours.
Yes, we have.
And I don't think there's anything left.
Okay, so
I did get a super chat from Derek Workman. I'm going to read it really quick. He says, that is not true, Allison. You are a lot easier to get along with than the women on the Whatever podcast or Pearl's channel. Thank you, Derek Workman. Derek Workman. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I try. That's about the only thing I'll say about myself. I try. Do I succeed? I don't know. But I try. But anyway, so I just wanted to remind everyone we are doing our monthly fundraiser. For all of you who actually support, it is incredible. And you really should feel proud of yourself because it is an effort to actually invest in the idea that men are not to blame. It is an effort to be able to see the world, not just see the world, not in terms of blaming men, but actually invest in the message that maybe we should stop doing that. You should really be proud of yourselves. All of you supporters, all of the people who've made it possible for us to get to this point. And if you would like to join them, the ranks of the few, the brave and the bitchy, the ones who refuse to continue to blame men, even though it's comfortable, even though we don't have to worry about the terror in the sky and the evil tentacles, because as long as we blame men, it's obviously not our problem, and we as long as we blame men, it's going to be solved, right? Okay, you are the few who can see past that and invest in it, in the future that doing something different might bring. Let's just do something different. So if you want to be part of that, please go to feedthebadger.com/support. Never think that what you do doesn't matter, because it does. If we disappear, then who will be the ones saying, maybe we should stop blaming men? We've blamed men quite a bit, and we continue to blame men, and we continue to double down on it. Have we considered not doing that? Let's entertain that for a moment. Okay? Without your support, that voice wouldn't exist. So give yourselves a pat on the back. And if you're thinking about supporting, feedthebadger.com/support. If you want to do something just put in one time, and feedthebadger.com/subscribe, which is really helpful because, again, we are seeing a little contraction in our subscription revenue. which is concerning, but I still appreciate everybody who has supported up to this point. So thank you. And what I want you to take away is that you have worth as men. You are the most valuable thing a woman can have in her life. And you have the right to demand a society that recognizes that. And if that's the kind of message you want to support, feedthebadger.com/support, feedthebadger.com/subscribe. Or you just want to say, hey, that's a nice sentiment, Allison, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Okay, back to you, Brian.
All right. So if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, and let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. If you want to look at the full video that we were looking at, you can see the link in the description. I would also ask that you maybe leave a comment, you know, direct some people here, tell them what your thoughts are on this. Yeah, I mean, just give me your 2 cents. Let's spread the message. So thanks guys so much for coming on the show. Please share this video, and we'll talk to you all in the next one. Have a happy Valentine's Day. See you next time.
Are machines, dude. Okay, they are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.